Welcome to the volunteer information meeting for Treekeepers of Washington County. We have a number of projects that need volunteers. We'll go through each of them and explain to you why we are doing them and what is involved. These are the general categories of our volunteer roles, which we will be describing today. Each one has a coordinator from our core team to guide you in your volunteer role. The amount of time you wish to commit is up to you and depends on the role you choose. For each of you who signs up, we will send a link to this presentation and all relevant documents. If you have any questions as we are going through this presentation, please feel free to type them into the chat box addressed to Josie. We'll address those questions following this presentation. One way to educate yourself on the issues is to attend and report on meetings. Since there is no city government for urban unincorporated Washington County, it falls to the Board of County Commissioners to make decisions concerning tree ordinances, etc. Other important county agencies we interface with are Land Use and Transportation, Clean Water Services, Tualatin Hills Parks and Recreation Department, community participation organizations, neighborhood associations, and developer meetings. Monitoring those discussions is the first step toward policy change. We need volunteers willing to attend virtual meetings and write a short paragraph or two as a report. Let us know if this is something that interests you. Policy change will not come about without persuasion. You can be a voice for trees by speaking up before decision makers to state your views. Testify before our Board of Commissioners and others who have jurisdiction over our trees. Of course, right now, standing up is virtual, often only by phone, but speaking out for the record will be heard by many. Your views may reach other listeners as well. We can help you with the testimony process and with building your confidence. Or you might prefer writing a letter. Written testimony carries weight. It can leave a lasting impression that can easily be reread or passed on to others. Or you may choose to write a letter to a newspaper or to a neighborhood association. We can supply you with talking points. We have a number of specific projects for which we need volunteers. One of them is conducting street inventories. We'll need many volunteers to carry out the different roles for these street tree inventories. Scientists tell us that one of the most efficient and least costly ways to remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere is to allow trees that are already planted and growing to continue growing. Despite the many benefits of trees, Washington County is the only jurisdiction in the area with no specific protection for existing trees. We at Tree Keepers are trying to change that, but we can't protect trees if we don't know what's there. That's why we will be inventorying trees. Once the trees are inventoried, Washington County will have lots of options as to how they may utilize that data, such as where to plant additional trees, whether they're meeting tree canopy goals, which trees need maintenance, and others. It will also help them reach out for funding to complete these projects, and neighborhoods will be able to utilize this information in the same ways. We're beginning to map, measure, and identify publicly owned street trees like these. Washington County has jurisdiction over trees in the right-of-way, although adjacent property owners are required to maintain those trees. At first, our tree inventory project will start in areas like these where planting strips make it easy to identify which trees are in the right-of-way area. Later on, the mapping will be done in other areas of the county, particularly in areas where trees are needed so everyone can enjoy the health and cooling benefits of trees. We will use simple tools such as a clinometer to measure tree height, a diameter tape, and a trundle wheel, all of which are easy to learn. There'll be both an online and an in-person training for this. Data can be collected using a clipboard and a paper form, or by using a smartphone. We'll be using an online database tool that is used throughout Oregon, so our data will add to this tree database. For data collected on paper forms, we will need volunteers for data entry. So if you enjoy computer work, that might be an option for you. Street tree inventories is a project that can be conducted in a way that complies with masking and social distancing guidelines. Our first inventories are being planned now and will begin in early 2022. Inventory teams will measure and record tree diameter, height, width, condition, and the site using given tools and maps. At first, we'll be looking for a team of volunteers willing to be trained in the procedure, and they will then mentor others with no experience in data collection. Later on, there'll be plenty of opportunities for inexperienced volunteers. We're also looking for computer savvy people willing to comb through satellite maps to locate additional areas with clear planting strips like those in the photo on the right. We also need to identify areas where tree planting and maintenance would be most effective to alleviate heat islands and provide other benefits to health and well-being. Starting this summer, we'll be participating with PSU partners in heat mapping and data collection. Volunteers with GIS skills would be especially helpful, but not necessary. Participating with PSU partners in heat mapping means using citizen volunteers. This research more accurately measures temperature differences between city hotspots and their cooler surroundings. The data has clearly demonstrated a correlation between lower income neighborhoods and higher temperatures due to far fewer trees to provide shade from the sun. This data will allow cities to address extreme heat conditions neighborhood by neighborhood, using a variety of strategies such as planting new trees, limiting paved parking areas, or increasing space for existing trees. Although we don't know yet exactly what our volunteer involvement will look like for this project, keep it in mind for the future. Many of the people who contact tree keepers are worried about trees that are under threat of being cut down. In the long run, we're hoping to gain legal protections for trees and new developments. But for now, we have teams of volunteers who are doing what they can to watchdog some of these areas. They follow the permitting process, help others speak up about their concerns, work with neighbors and local CPOs and organizations to research, strategize, and find innovative solutions. Join one of these groups or alert us about where you might want to start one of your own. We can provide support with the experience we're gaining. Our first neighborhood tree steward groups are just in their planning stages. Neighborhood tree stewards may form to solve a specific problem, such as dealing with invasive plants that threaten their trees, holding clinics for learning proper pruning techniques, planting trees in available spots in their neighborhoods, organizing raking events, or holding fundraisers to inoculate neighborhood trees from threats such as Dutch elm disease. If you think your neighborhood would benefit from such a program, we can help provide support. This might look like educating neighborhood groups, either in classes or with hands-on events near you. So become a neighborhood tree steward and share your passion for trees. Another project is to develop tree tags that explain the importance of particular tree species. An arboretum is a collection of trees, often with a theme or pattern. A pop-up arboretum showcases some special trees during a temporary installation of information signs. We're working with Tualatin Hills Parks and Recreation to gain permission to create our first pop-up arboretum. And we're also hoping to engage schools in these projects as well. We would love your help. Or you can just print tree tags to post on your own trees to show your neighbors the benefits of those, like the one shown here on the right. We created this map that identified some special trees in our county so others can find and enjoy them. Our first tree tour map is in the Cedar Mill area, and it's available as either a downloadable PDF or in a version for mobile devices. You can create your own map to showcase an area of your favorite trees for walking, bicycling, or driving tours. These trees would be located on a map using Google My Maps or another format like iTree. And then you can research and write about them. And we can provide guidance on how to photograph and design the tree maps and develop a brochure based on your research. In the future, you might lead a volunteer youth group to participate in a tree mapping project. Communication is vital to growing our organization and strengthening our advocacy efforts. There are several areas where volunteers are needed. These include maintaining our website, developing stories for our monthly newsletter, or helping to coordinate and produce our monthly newsletter. If you have expertise in these areas, we would be grateful for your help. Are you an active user of social media? We need volunteers to help establish our social media presence on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Nextdoor. We need people to both create content and post on a regular schedule. We'll help you create that content. Posts will be reviewed by our social media coordinator. We are working with local school groups who are dedicated to addressing climate change. One project we're planning is to produce a video that describes why we want to preserve mature trees. If you have connections to youth groups, enjoy working with young people, or have skills in videography, you can help us develop relationships with local schools, both students and teachers. Or help us develop partnerships with other like-minded organizations to further our efforts. We would then contact those groups for posting on our website. Currently, our partners include Climate 350, PDX, Trees for Life Oregon, Urban Green Spaces Institute, Tualatin Riverkeepers, the Intertwine Alliance, and the League of Women Voters of Oregon. We always need volunteers to do online research. We need to collect data about climate change, carbon sequestration in trees, and tree benefits. You might compile a list of neighborhood associations in the county and map them, find fun tree-related activities for kids, locate sources for tree-friendly development practices, delve into tree ordinances, and many other research topics. If you enjoy digging into subjects on your computer, we can put those skills to work. So now's your time to ask any questions about what you've heard so far. Thank you for attending this meeting and for caring about trees. You'll be receiving a survey form following this meeting to indicate your volunteer interests. Once you've completed our volunteer survey, a team leader will call or email you about next steps.